What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The David Lopez Show, presented by Passion Park ENT. You know what it is. I am excited to be back for another episode. I'm going to double it up today. I got 2 episodes coming in. This first one's going to be a fun interview chat I had with my friend last night. So this is another appearance by Marc Morgan, who has not only has been a guest on the show, but has been mentioned on the show plenty of times. He's a long time family friend, and also just a colleague, because we've worked together a lot. He's directed my music videos, and then for the past month, I have been promoting his new show on TikTok that I am on today. Actually, the episode comes out today, which is why we decided to talk last night, promote it a little bit, and then he's also got a podcast coming out next week. So we talk about that. It was a really fun conversation. We talked for like 45 minutes. We could have probably just kept talking. So hopefully you guys get some stuff out of it. It really makes you want to listen to his new podcast, at least in my opinion, especially if you're from Chicago, because it's a lot of Chicago background. So that was a fun talk. But before I send you over to that interview, I'm just gonna up top detail, little housekeeping like I always do. Been trying to be productive over the past couple of days, and not so much on the creative side, like making, music and stuff. I mean, always working on that. But I've been trying to be productive in the sense of refreshing all my websites and just making everything, simpler and easier and fresher. So my websites are completely redone. So if you go to www.thedavidlopez.com, that's where you can find everything about my career. The podcast is I try to make the podcast more a centerpiece for the site. I try to do some things to make it easier to navigate. So hopefully that does the trick. So thedavidlopez.com for all of that. All my new music, all that stuff's always posted there. And then for more stuff about our events, about our live streams, about the web series that we put out, all the film projects, and directly for our store, our merch, go to www.passionparkent.com. That's also been refreshed. I really am I'm happy with how they're looking right now. I actually refreshed the business model, the business what do you call it? The motto, the slogan. I know there's another word for this, but yeah, I redid that. I rehashed the about section. There's just a lot of stuff I had to redo, so I'm happy I did that. But then also on a music front, last night I premiered the new music video for my song Shoot or Shoot. I did the premiere live on YouTube, and then I also went live on IG and just chilled with people while the premiere came out. I might post that IG live video on my Patreon just for patrons exclusively, in case anybody's interested. But nonetheless, Shoot or Shoot came out last night. I want to say thank you to everybody who listened. Thank you to everybody who watched and commented and gave me some kind words. I had to make the video at home during quarantine, so there's only so many options. I played a couple of the characters. I did what I could. I got some footage that I used for my love character. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. I'm trying to give that song some more life and bring back some more juice into it. And this is the song that I performed today on Marc's new show. So I've mentioned this the past month pretty much. The show is called The World Premiere. On TikTok only. It's a minute long. All the episodes are a minute long. He's been dropping a new episode every other day so far this month. But they're gonna keep stacking them up. You'll hear throughout the episode how they do it. But my episode that I recorded was the first ever one he recorded, and it was just a straight up FaceTime call. I rap Shoot or Shoot, and then we talk for a quick second. But it was a really fun time. So hopefully you guys get to enjoy it. I'm gonna be promoting that on all of my social media pages today. Trying to get Shoot or Shoot to get a second wind of life here. And then I'm going to have some more music coming out very soon. So stay tuned with that. But yeah, just like I said, visit our websites. Pretty much everything you need to know about my career, where you can find me, where you can listen to me, is all on either of those websites. www.thedavidlopez.com, www.passionparkent.com. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to keep this too long. Me and Marc talked for a while. I'm just going to let you guys enjoy that. So I'm going to send that over to that without further ado. Thank you guys for listening, and enjoy my chat with Marc Morgan.
David Lopez is the name. It's my show. Welcome to it.
Here we go. What is up? Our good friend Mark is back in the building. What's up, man? How you doing?
Well, I'm not really back in the building.
That's a good point. I literally, as I said it, I was like, that's not right.
I am in Los Angeles, though.
That's right. But you're in your building, which is the important part.
I am in a building. There is a structure above my head. So that is good.
How are you holding together right now?
I'm happy to talk to you. I am excited because I wanted to get on this thing to tell the world, whoever is basically listening or eventually watching or whatever, that you are episode on my show.
Absolutely.
WB,
I've been doing every week for the past, I'd say since the quarantine started, at least since you came on, which I think was a month ago, which is weird because time's kind of flying. I've been saying every week about your show.
Oh, well, dude, thank you. It's been a really cool beginning. Numbers are always something that's going to take a little bit, but I think you have almost 100 followers in 3 weeks, and believe it or not, like to me, that's a win.
No, it is.
We're getting people who are following who are from nowhere, which is great. And the feedback has always been great so far, which has been really, really nice. Publicists, managers, record labels, they've all watched and they've all said it looks good, which makes me excited because your episode is going to be today.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's great to hear. I'm just excited to get to be on the show. I'm excited that you get to that you're having a show that's doing well. So it's funny that you mentioned right away numbers release wise. You just released it. I just talked about this the other day because I released a song, and then the next day I just wanted to vent about feelings because I noticed the natural feeling in myself after you release something the next day. It's not always the most. I don't know. It depends. You're looking too much. Like I'm trying not to look. How have you felt now? You released a new show. I like that you said right away, like the numbers, like you said, like 100 people, but that is what you wanted or whatever. Like, and that's what people need to, that's important is recognizing the importance of every single individual. So like, how are you and Darren, your co-host for the show, how are you guys feeling so far?
No, it's good. I mean, look, anything you start, anything in the world, you don't start thinking that, and if you do think that you're going to blow up right away, you shouldn't be doing it. Nothing ever just goes, an overnight success.
Right.
It just doesn't. But you have to kind of go with your gut a little bit and know, one thing Hello?
Yeah. Sorry.
That
was my laundry.
razor?
That was my laundry machine. Actually, no. Yes, you're right.
That was interesting. Okay, well.
I didn't. We're just for I don't like to hide the things. We're recording it's late night, and I had the laundry going. I didn't know, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay. No, what I was saying though is that when you come out of the gate with any project, expect to go through the growing period. Even if you have the greatest idea in the world, there's gonna be. I mean, Amazon was a bookstore online, and that didn't go right away. And look at it now. I mean, I'm not saying we're Amazon. I'm saying that anything worth doing is going to take some time and a lot of effort. But Darren and I, my co-host Darren Kofavi and I, we worked on a show which you, David, knew before called The Booth, and it was a music show, and that actually got to a place where we started getting some named guests, which was really cool. But I think that what we really learned quickly was, we wanted a younger demo because those are the kids. I mean, just people in their teens usually are the ones who really share things more than anything else.
They're the ones who kind of drive the music industry, in all honesty, which is so weird because any industry, but especially music, fashion, everything. So we just kind of knew that we're a little older than a teenager, but I would say that our chops in understanding who's good and what good music is and who is talented, we still felt like we can curate that and then bring that to the world in a fun way. So the way the format of the show now is that it's literally a 1-minute episode. And for everybody who's listening or watching, so David was one of our first guests, and it was a straight FaceTime show. Oh yeah.
We did a FaceTime thing. David, we recorded everything live right then and there. And then, you got what you got, and it came out really good. We then, for David's episode, just to pump it up a little bit, he gave us his instrumental track to lay it under the episode, so it sounded a little bit better, and it does. It sounds awesome. So the episode we're really proud of, and what we do for each episode is we have a custom intro, and with that custom intro, we just find something cool. So on this one, we actually have, since David is from Chicago, I'm from Chicago, we did a quick a dress change to make sure that Darren could wear a Bulls jersey.
Hey, how perfect is that? The two that it all falls in lines with The Last Dance too. I was going to ask you about that eventually too. It's all like the Bulls are like the center team for this whole quarantine, really.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, indeed. I think that all these things, when especially in quarantine life,
Mm-hmm.
when all these things are connecting in a way, it's probably pointing to a good sign, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, are you talking Bulls specifically, or what do you mean creatively? Or what
I'm talking everything. I'm talking. You got your music thing. I'm doing my thing, and we're
Yeah.
we'll talk later about the Chicago podcast that I'm doing, and then everyone's now talking about Chicago because specifically this Bulls documentary, The Last Dance, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. No. It's a good. Yeah. It's cool. It's all coming together here. As I was gonna say something though when you were talking about so the release, like right. You can't you can't expect anything to blow up. I mean, the not right away. I mean, the point is, I was kind of mentioning this, I think, when I was talking to somebody else recently, was you have to remember that you and Darren in this situation, you guys believed in that project like right away, and you believed in it, and it's, I don't know, it's a hurdle that I have to deal with too, is because you have to remember like the thoughts that you believe in it, not the thoughts after a day of releasing it and seeing like 4 people are seeing it or whatever, because that's what drives the show. Because most shows, like you were saying, it's not going to blow up in a night. It's like maybe it's 3 months after, and then one guest on the song hits or whatever it is, but you believe in the project and it keeps going. And that's why I love that you keep doing these projects that you find some inspiration, and I think that's super cool that you got to keep doing that.
No, we appreciate it. And I think that, you also go through experience, right? I mean, that once you try a few things. I mean, one thing that we learned.
Motherfucker.
Oh, there it is.
Yep,
there it is.
I still haven't figured it out. We just moved in here. I don't know why the dryer does that.
The UFO. I was just saying that what's really interesting is that with experience you kind of find little things that you want to tinker and hopefully you get it right. And who knows, this could be a complete fail. But the way it totally depends on the way you see failure, right? So
yeah.
For us, what we learned was when we did the booth, we were doing everything in the studio. It took a lot of effort to do one episode a week. A lot of coordination, and you never really know what you're going to get. There was no editing; it was live, which, by the way, made it really fun.
Right.
But for this, short, sweet, and we are literally releasing every other day. Eventually, we hope to make it every single day, but every other day is what we've been doing because that's the kind of flow we've been kind of getting from artists.
You got to be realistic. So, you're right.
Yeah. No, it's again, think about it. If you right now had to book a guest every other day, that's a lot of guests.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I mean, I'm taking so many things from every single thing that you just said right there, because it's compounding, like everything that you just said kind of combines a lot of the things that I feel all into one, kind of, because you were like, well, first off, you were like, the booth took a lot of effort, which is, I mean, whatever, that it takes effort, but at a certain point you do realize, effort versus like, what's the point? Like what's the going for? But then you can make another product that you can release quickly, which also has another, like, it has another feeling to it. It's like a whole separate feeling. It's like, well, the point is make the art quickly and get it out. So it's like the balance in between all those things. I believe me, I deal with that all the time because I'm like, I want to get products out. Like I feel naturally, I feel so, passionate about art that I'm like, the point is getting it out, creating it and getting it out to the world. But then also, you can't just forget about the project or the product. So it's a really...
Well, and you're a one-man band, similar to us in a way. And based off of that, it's really, I mean, like, look, Taylor Swift can do whatever the hell she wants. So she can have somebody filming her while someone's doing her nails while she's writing a song. For most people out there, artists, they're on their own, and based off of that, you have to make decisions. Like, yeah, you could write one script, spend 10 years, and then hopefully try to make it. Or in today's world, which is, you know, the decisions you kind of have to make, it's like, okay, I'm going to focus on this song, I'm going to do this thing, and I got to crank it out fast. And when I meant before that things took a lot of effort, it's the whole working smarter, not harder thing.
Yes, exactly.
And it's like, okay, it's not that I'm not working really hard on WP, because I am. It's just like, for example, great example, for anybody who watches, like right now, it's not a FaceTime show. It is in a way. Darren and I do watch every episode, obviously. If we ask people, it's just a submission now. People are submitting songs. We give them kind of like an idea of what we need them to say. So then I piece it together to seem like a FaceTime call, to be honest.
Right.
I actually probably shouldn't even be talking about it like this, but I do think it's important.
I can cut out whatever you want.
No, it's okay. I think it's important that people know that it's basically like a FaceTime call, because we do watch the episode. We do respond the way we usually do. If we're like excited or whatever it is, we just record. But the best thing is I can sit and I can crank out 8 episodes. The other day I did 9 episodes in a night.
Dude, that's literally. That's fucking awesome. I got to be honest. That's I had no idea. I was just about to ask you, because you had mentioned like your episode was this, and I like forgot to follow up and say, wait, what's the difference between my episode and the other ones? But look, I mean, I know you're like, we shouldn't be saying this, but actually I think it's better, because now you're just transparent right away. So if anybody has anything like you were hiding it, there's
no,
you know.
Okay. No, but I don't want. I guess what I'm saying is I don't want anyone to ever feel like we're doing something that it's not.
Right.
You know, I wish it really could be a FaceTime call all the time, but what we realized quickly early on with this show is that scheduling is very, very difficult.
Of course.
And you know,
so that seems efficient. Are you like giving out
are
you giving out a script? That seems great.
Yes. Yeah. Well, so I do 2 things. One, I give them a script as kind of like an idea of what they can go with. They can watch former episodes to kind of get an idea. But the most important I basically ask them to do is I need them to mention that they're doing a song, say hello to us, because we do the same thing on our end, and we really do watch the episodes. We give our natural reaction. I just edit it in a way to make it seem. All right.
Yeah.
I just set up to make it seem like it is a clean FaceTime call. But again, I couldn't have, for the booth. I can't do 9 episodes in a day. So especially in quarantine, what's happening right now is that Darren and I both have the videos. We watch the videos. We have our natural reaction. He sends me his videos. I take mine. I piece it together so it looks like it's all taking place at one time. I just change clothing in between each viewing,
right?
And that's it. And like, and you know, sometimes I'll, you know,
yeah, but there's still work to be done. That's still editing in an episode. It's not like it's not like it's, you know, I mean, there's still work there. I actually think that, to me, that makes so much more sense. It's more efficient. I mean, otherwise, I don't know how you would get 30. I don't know how you would get episodes every day. I mean, this way, now that you're explaining it, seems a lot more efficient. You have people submit, and frankly, if I'm an artist, you know, I can submit my song to you, and I know that you're going to listen and you know, decide whether or not. That's important.
Exactly. They get to know what if they took 3 takes, they can give me their best take. Everything is better and smoother for sure. I mean, there's still always going to be things like somebody sent me something that was horizontal, even though TikTok is a vertical platform. So vertical, like meaning the screen.
No, I know, because I tried to post a music video on TikTok, and I mean, I did post a music video, but it like turned it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
It's just like IGTV. It just comes out with blurred tops and bottoms. It's just I emailed back and I was like, yo, can you give me a different version? But you know, again, these are just learning things, and I just, at this point, I don't know what's going to happen. What I do like is I've always, I think ever since I was really young, I like being able to help. If I see somebody with talent, I want to be able to help them. I've always wanted to just do that, and I love music, and I went into entertainment for for film and television, but I think music was always very, very important for me. So, I'm doing other film and TV things, but the music thing this show is basically a combination of both. So
Right.
It's been great. And I
Well,
want to focus on you because you, like I said, you were one of our, you were the first, I believe, that we actually recorded, but I didn't want yours to go out right away.
Yeah.
And
I had fun. I was in my car. I was in my car after I got off work, and I called. Yeah, I had a fun time. It was great.
Dude, it was awesome. And I hope that people will enjoy it.
Yeah, I hope so too. I just released the music video tonight for Shooters Shoot, and some people seem to have liked that song. So I hope that.
I saw a clip today.
Well,
that was
I was going to ask you as somebody who has done film work yourself and directed a lot of stuff. So I said to you this before. Like this is a good excuse for me in the quarantine to just whatever you got to do, whatever you got to do. Like nobody can be mad at me for not shooting a high budget film during the quarantine. I can't go anywhere.
No, this is the perfect time to just do it.
Right, but I did actually get some B-roll like stock footage for. I needed like a female character, so I got some stock footage. Yeah, has that no, like, I don't know, like, I mean, it's not like I paid for it. I got the credit. It's like, it wasn't expensive, but whatever. I did what I had to do for that. Like, is that completely abnormal? Like,
I thought it was cool. I actually thought, that was literally my first thought. I was like, where did this come from? But it makes sense if you make it make sense and you cut it well enough that it seems all right. So,
well, thank you. I just didn't know if people do that.
No, it doesn't matter. Who cares? I mean, like, if you find an art form that works, that's cool. It'd be weird if it was like some stock footage of just like some industrial whatever. I don't know. But
right.
No, it made sense. And the whole thing is about a girl, and it was great.
Right. Well, thank you. I'm trying to figure out ways. But yeah, no, lining it all up with this. I've been saying all month about the release for this episode. So I've been excited for this. Shooter Shoot is a song that matters to me because I mean, all my music matters to me, but I produced it. I like now that I get to make the beats to myself. So I was glad that you got to let me share that on another platform. I'm really excited about that.
I love the song. I'll be honest. I actually think it's my favorite song you've done.
Thank you. That means a lot.
I can tell you that I have a 3-year-old who it's his favorite song.
Well, that works.
I'm gonna shoot my shot.
Oh man.
No, he really does say that. And it is a good song. It's really well written. It's tempo's good. It's catchy. I think that I hope people dig it. And I think this is one of.
This thing is crazy. This thing is insane.
But anyway, everybody should go definitely check out this episode. It's cool. It's a fun little customized intro. You get to see Dave's car, which is great. It's at the world premiere on TikTok.
Yep, the link will be posted right before. I got you.
So guys, check that out, and for everybody else who's listening, please follow, because we're about to hit 100 followers, which is nothing to most, but to me it's huge. And
no, but if every single one of those is, I've had this conversation on here before, but I mean, it's all about how important followers are or whatever. I mean, like that number, like numbers, like people have thousands of followers on Instagram and don't have 100 listeners on their music. And for TikTok, like
it's true.
It's all about the importance of the fans. Like
one of my proudest things right now, seriously, and this is good for you too. Every single episode we've had, I don't know how many are up there right now, 10, 11 episodes.
Okay.
I should check. 11 episodes. Not except for yesterday's, which is brand new. Every single one of them has over 100 views.
Right.
Every single one. Well, if you look at other people's accounts who are just like, trying to do their own thing, most people average, seriously, like 30 views. They can use all the hashtags they want and everything. Or like, we're talking like no-namers.
Right.
And so I think that what's happening, and we're finding this, when people find our account, they're watching back, which is one of the reasons I thought it'd be cool.
Yeah, no, I agree. Just conceptually thinking about it, yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully my hope is that people who watched the former ones are flipping through, and then all of a sudden now those people who are following us are going to see yours, and then they're going to hopefully you get more Spotify. Like it all just merry-go-round that stuff. So I'm hoping that helps, and I'm glad that you were on, and yeah, man, let's just keep that going.
No, for sure, for sure. I'm glad. It goes back to what I was mentioning earlier. Is like, man, when I made that song, I thought like that. I was like, I remember saying like, this is the best song I ever made. I remember just like falling in love with it. And then you release it, it gets some response, whatever. Like, when you're at this level, you can't expect to get the world to get the song, but then you kind of like forget. You have to remember. So like that's why I'm glad like you have actually given me some more confidence about the record and remember to like remind myself like no, like keep pushing it. Like it's like if you felt that way about it, somebody might feel that way about it.
Well, no, it's true. I also, I mean, you never. It's funny. For me, it's like you never know what the lens is, right? Like for me,
Sure.
I've seen from the beginning.
Right.
So I definitely like. My hope is that people hear for the first time like, oh, who's this guy? This is cool. For
Yeah.
me, it's
Yeah.
like it's a little extra for me because I've literally seen the very beginning. So I think it's cool that yeah, it's just growing.
Yeah.
It's growing. I mean, if you're
Yeah.
making your own beats, obviously.
Yeah,
that's
right,
huge.
right. Thank you. Well, that's the hope. You get the sound to grow, get the creative energy to grow, and all that. And with that being said, there's growth in the kind of projects you do and all that. And I think one of the biggest things for me was starting this podcast. Like, I mean, I had always loved talking, and I had radio shows in college, and I got never put it together. This transition kind of seemed more seamless than really it was. Like this is what was supposed to happen. I was supposed to end up having a podcast. But now I'm really excited to talk about you having a podcast. Like I really am excited to listen to this show and all of this stuff. I've known you since I was a kid, and now I get to hear you from a whole different lens. So you are releasing a podcast starting next week. It's called Shy Aspera. Am I correct?
That's right. No, it's a Chicago-based podcast. It's video and audio, and it is all about the diaspora of famous Chicagoans, people who have left Chicago to go make a name for themselves in sports, politics, entertainment, acting, and business. And so I have so far have 20 episodes in the can, and I finally just thank God for this quarantine. I'll be honest, because it really got me to, after filming, I didn't edit a single one until after I was able to film all of them, because I would have people in here once or twice a week, and it was a lot of work. And there was on top of my regular job, family, and everything else. So the premise of this thing came from really why I think I started out and moved out to LA is that I always was very impressed. I mean, I've always loved entertainment, but I was always impressed by people who left some like Chicago, and I looked up to those people. Your Bill Murrays and Pivens and Cusacks, and I mean even Michael Jordan. I know he's not from Chicago, but you look at these people and they're like, look at like from my city, look at what they've done. Obama. I mean, it's crazy, right? So I just always thought about it, and since I've been out in Los Angeles, I've come across a ton of just people working in the industry from Chicago, and then people who actually were celebrities from Chicago. Like somebody who hasn't come on yet, but will be coming on. Funny story. I was producing a show, and Steve Wilkos.
Oh,
Steve Wilkos.
The Wilkos show,
right?
baby. Yeah, I remember him.
He was a Chicago cop.
Wait, I didn't know that. He was a Chicago cop? I did not know that.
He's a Chicago cop.
Wasn't he on the Jerry Springer show?
Jerry Springer show. That's how he got famous. And then he got his own show, and he's still going. And he moved to Connecticut now. But I was producing a show at the time, and he was a guest that my booker booked, and we talked afterward. And I was like, dude, I'm also from Chicago. And he sat on the couch with me. We just talked. The whole crew, everyone was gone. It was just me and him talking about how he grew up in Park Ridge and what we like to eat, and just everything, right? Same thing with a guest who will be on the show is Jonathan Kite. If you check out the trailer on YouTube for Shy Aspera, you'll see him on there. He was in a big show, Two Broke Girls, and he was the Ukrainian chef, Oleg.
Yeah, right.
And,
I recognized him right away, actually. I was like, oh, I know who that guy is.
he was a guest on a show I produced, and we talked for a while. He's like, oh, dude, Skokie. And what's funny, one of the funniest stories while on that podcast, because I've seen you before. I'm like, yeah, I know. I saw your episode. He said, no, I've seen you before that.
Oh.
What are you talking about? And we started going through our history and where we went to school, and we went to camp, and whatever. And then we found out and this is a funny thing, Dave. This is where I was related to you. Your brother and I once went to a Mayor Kaplan JCC camp to be counselors.
Yes, okay.
As CITs, as junior counselors.
Counselors in training, right?
He was one of the counselors. And we found that on my podcast live.
That is hilarious. That's funny.
I was 12. He must have been, whatever it is, 16, 17. So funny. And, again, what I tell all these people that come on the show, we just literally talk Chicago. I go into their careers. We talk about their family, all the things that I was always interested about, because I really think your friends, your family, all of it relates to, and specifically coming from Chicago, really helped me be who I am. And really the motivation, the work ethic, the idea of wanting the best. Like Chicago sports is the greatest example, right? And we talk about that a lot on the show. We're not forgiving. You either work hard or we don't want to deal with you.
Well, I think that is absolutely correct. The Chicago sports fan base, the Chicago, Chicago's this great mix of blue collar and really also like upper class city. Like it's like this mix of all of this, like eclectic, like artistic. Like it's this mix of all this, but there really is that hard nosed attitude that goes into the sports thing. And I don't know. There's just like I see on Twitter like people are like people who aren't from here. I always laugh at it because Chicago people will retweet it. People who will be like, they'll be like, people from Chicago think that they always be like, oh, I'm from Chicago. This is whatever. They think just because I'm from Chicago is from the. It's just because like all of us that are from Chicago, we always say something like, oh, I'm from Chicago. That's not how I think. It's just like a thing that we have.
There's a lot of pride. There's a lot of pride. And what's nice is that you can be on a completely different level. I'm telling you, meeting these celebrities and they look at me and they come to my house. I have my studio in my house. They come to my house and we're in my office. I have a little setup that with curtains that looks like city.
Yeah, it's a sweet
skyline.
background. It looks cool. Yeah.
And they are just immersed. And then, for that 1 hour, they could have won Emmys and Oscars and Grammys. And then for that 1 hour, we're just talking about Lou Malnati. So it's a really cool experience for me. I think it's a cool experience for them because, for example, Mary Lou Henner, she's definitely more our parents' demo because she's done stuff recently too, of course, but she was huge on the show Taxi. She was on. She was on the first Celebrity Apprentice with Trump. She was Dancing with the Stars. She's done so much stuff. She was so excited. She's done everything. She was so excited to talk about Chicago. She brought a Chicago hat. It was the cutest thing.
That's awesome. See, I don't think that goes away, man. I don't.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all. I think everyone's very proud of it, and they're very proud to talk about this.
But I think that, exactly. Like I think Brad Pitt. You catch Brad Pitt in a conversation with somebody who's from the Ozarks, or like he's going to talk with them. Like I think that you're right. I think that it's like no matter who it is, your home is still your home, and well, unless I don't know, there's certain people who are just completely done with. But for the most part,
yeah, no, it's a cool thing, and that's really why I started this show. And
so what does diaspora mean? I'm really sorry to interrupt you there. What does diaspora mean? I meant to say you that right away. What is
it's a play on words. So it's Chicago diaspora. Diaspora, the actual meaning of it, our root word is semi-biblical. Is people who've left their homeland and dispersed among outside of that homeland. So I have a Jewish background, and Jewish people talk about the diaspora of Jews who left the Middle East,
right,
and then dispersed. And that, we're all Christian faith too. Everyone just dispersed into different parts of the world.
Okay, so it kind of dispersed. Disperse is the root word, kind of.
It's a disbursement of people from a specific central location.
Oh, so, okay, that's interesting.
So diaspora is the diaspora of famous Chicagoan, and again, I do take a few liberties. for example, there's a guy, Sam Levine, who was on the show. He was in Inglourious Bastards. He was one of the original like Freaks and Geeks cast members.
He was on Freaks and Geeks for real.
Oh yeah. No, he's if you see his face, you'll know exactly what he is. He was born in Chicago, but grew up in Jersey, but came back every year because he's a huge Cubs fan. So it's like, okay, he didn't fully grow up. He didn't fully grow up in Chicago, but
come on,
I let that one slide a little bit. Some people, like for example, I have some people who grew up in Champaign, but then lived a lot of their times in Chicago. One guest was somebody who grew up in Kentucky, but went to New Trier. And then from that point on, did all the Second City stuff and things like that. Right. So, and then came out here. I looked at it very much as, do you call Chicago home? Did you call Chicago home for a while that actually helped you build to get you where you are now? Because that's really the way I see it, is that Chicago is that home base for people prior to them making their big leap.
Yeah, so, no, that's great. I think there should also be probably like one other qualifying question, and the answer, I don't really know what the question is, but the answer should be Ditka.
We definitely, on numerous occasions, we go into the accent. That's for sure.
Well, I mean, what are you gonna do, a Chicago show without the accent? I mean, it's not happening. It's not.
The hardest part is when we start talking about different, real thick opinions about pizza, believe it or not, because everyone talks about that, but I don't have sponsorship yet, so I'm kind of like, well, do I really down another pizza place, or am I just kind of playing cool?
That's funny. I mean, I think honesty is the best policy, but I do kind of, actually, that'd be interesting to hear, because you've had 20 so guests. Do you ask? Has pizza come up with most of your guests here?
Dude, we've all taken notes. Like, I've had guests take notes based off of me. I got so excited when someone mentioned, because we talk about the thin crust and we talk about the deep dish, and I take notes. Like, I really do. Like,
that's so funny.
I got to find out that we go back and forth.
Well, that's what I was going to ask, is what's the consensus amongst your guests? Are most people leaning towards thin crust? Most people leaning towards deep dish? Because some people think that anytime you say Chicago pizza.
I would say most people say deep dish, but the people who do like thin crust, I ask where they like thin crust from. And I got so excited when people said Barnaby.
Oh, yeah.
That for everyone who doesn't know, Dave and I grew up on that because we used to play baseball every day in the summer, and then we would go to Barnaby's for lunch.
I went to Barnaby's in the one in the suburbs like 2 months ago, or whatever, and I took Mandy there for the first time ever. So,
dude, I miss it. It still tastes the same. I'm sure it's still.
It was good. It was very good. It was very good.
Oh, I miss it so much. I really do. But yeah, that's another thing. Like, because we're in Los Angeles, there are a couple of Chicago spots out here, so we all debate that too.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's everything you'd want to talk. I mean, I had in episode 2. You'll find out there's a conversation about just talking about Chicago parking.
That's a whole thing. Yeah.
We get into snow, we get into sports, we get into the action, we get into the people, we get into definitely,
Well, I think especially with people out in LA and in that, I don't know, maybe it's in that industry, but especially in LA, because the climate's different, the everything's different. Like, so I don't know, I guess I'm just spitballing in my head, but I'm thinking like, if it's somebody in Chicago and somebody in New York, like say you're in New York, it's probably not the same pride because you're all still dealing with the climate issues. I feel like the Chicago people who are out there are like, these people can't deal with the fucking cold. Yeah,
well, the funny thing is I think that most people, people like warm weather for sure, but I think the consensus a lot of times is we would not, I don't think a lot of people would have left.
If they didn't have to.
Entertainment industry, I like warm weather. I'll straight up say I like warm weather. Of
course.
The entertainment industry were in Chicago, I don't think I would have left.
Yeah, that's, I feel that. But from outsider who hasn't got to move to LA like you guys, like I had always thought like, eventually, that's, but you know what? That's also because that was the programming. That's what you have to do. And then as things change, especially musically, it doesn't feel so much like you have to as much as it was before. But for any film thing, it still feels like LA is like where you got to be.
Yeah, I've talked to, the way I discuss it. We talk about it on air too. Just the industry of entertainment in general. It's not just about, yeah, I can make a movie anywhere too. It's the business dealings, right?
Right.
It's the idea of if I need to go meet somebody for coffee, I can do that at a face to face.
Yeah, just like talk over like
know,
one page of the script rather than have like a whole.
yeah,
Yeah, like okay.
yeah. It's also just putting a face to the name. There is an aspect, and it's an underlying thing that people don't always talk about, but it is a very true fact. People want to know if you're committed, straight up.
Yeah.
Are you committed to this project? Are you committed to being a director or producer? Are you committed to being a musician? Oh, you are? How do I know? You moved to LA. Okay. That means you want to play. It's literally like,
Yeah, no.
amping up in anything where you're saying, all right, here's my money. You can hand me my cards now. I mean, it's the truth. If you're not paying to play, you're not a student. No, I'm not saying you specifically, Dave.
No. You're. I get it.
I'm saying just in general, the way, like, for example, I've had people reach out to me and be like, hey, like if you have a job for me, like I'll move out there. Well, like, let me know. I'm like, no,
That's not really how it works. Yeah, that's not you. You dive.
Move,
yeah.
Show me that you want to be here, and then I'll do what I can to see if I can hook you up with somebody. But I can't. No one's gonna stick your neck up, because the very fraternity thing is, you do what I did.
Yeah.
You go through the same ringer I did to a degree.
I think. I think there's something to that though. Also, because I mean, there is so many talented people, and you learn that, especially as you get older. I mean, because of course you think the importance of yourself so much more when you're younger and you're trying to find yourself. But like, as you get older, I'm like, I see all the time people who are just like so talented, and shit goes under the rug all the time. So yeah, I think you're completely right to the point that you're saying is like, the point of taking that extra step and making that jump is a huge jump to some people, especially just like you're saying, a director or somebody's going to see is like, oh, they're serious. Because look, I have 30 people who could do this monologue, probably the same, but this person made the jump. Like that's the shit.
Well, yeah. Put it this way: if you get an email right now, you got an email. Anybody who's listening gets an email. It says, "I have a show. It's in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I would love you to be on it." Okay. Hey, I have a show. It's based in Los Angeles, California. Would you like to be on it? 100%, your eyes are going to go to Los Angeles.
Right.
Doesn't matter. Nothing to down Tulsa, Oklahoma. It has nothing to do with that. It's just the idea of, this is where it goes. This is where people who are serious go. And when I send out my pitch emails or my pitch DMs or whatever, there's a show based in Los Angeles. I want you on. Oh, okay. Like, I get it. So that's just a piece of it. So, but back on topic, I realize that people who are from Chicago really are still passionate about their hometown, and it hasn't, so obviously certain people aren't going to come on the show because they're too big. I'm not going to get Obama. Okay. I wish in my heart of hearts.
Hey, let's not, you never know when it's
fine. I never know, but I'm not going to do it. If Obama's going to come to my house, but
he went to Marc Maron's house.
Yeah. There you go. But yeah, another Mark with a C.
That's true. Look at all these stats.
And another C and an M-O.
Oh my God! Yeah, you know what you are? It's Marc Maron, Mark Morgan.
I am Mark. By the way, I'm Marc Maron. I'm just hoping that people. I really do. I know this will be a slow start. This is going to be one of the kind of things to do because it's a weekly release, not a every other day release.
Well, yeah, I was gonna ask you that next, but that's good. So every week, I know you say it's gonna be a slow start, but you don't really know that. I mean, the quality of guests you have is pretty high. I mean, we don't have to go through all of them, but I mean, you have guests that have been on a lot of shows. I mean, I'm just gonna briefly say you have Mr. Feeney from Boy Meets World on the show.
I do, and he will be on episode 4.
I think people are gonna watch, man. I think people are gonna watch. I mean, I'm not trying to like blow you out of the way and say like you're gonna, it's gonna be great. Like I don't think you're gonna get like nobody. Like people are gonna watch this.
I hope so. I hope so because, it would be amazing if I can generate an income from it. That would be sweet. But I don't anticipate that. My hope is that people see. My brother even asked me. He said, do you have a list of questions for people? And I go, nope. Once in a while, I'll have like a little game that I want to play with them, and I'll have something like written down. But I don't. I do my research. I make sure I know what they're promoting. I want to make sure that these people feel comfortable. But my whole thing is I just want to talk to you. Like,
Yeah.
kind of like we're talking right now. I just want to chat with you.
I mean, I like that
And,
approach for a podcast, but when you say research, like, what do you mean? Just like check out what projects they've been in and stuff, or like?
Oh, it's everything. It's Wikipedia down to, I'm trying to think of a good example for William Daniels, who, I'll tell a really quick. I'll make a long story very, very quick. But
Yeah, you're good.
William Daniels is Mr. Feeney. Okay.
Oh,
He's
that's his
also
name.
A bunch of other stuff. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's his real name. But he went to Northwestern, and that's how I was able to. I found that out, and I was like, oh my god, I had no idea.
Nice.
And then that's why I reached out. I was like, okay, he spent some time in Chicago, and I know he's very passionate about it. His wife calls me randomly after I sent an email to a publisher. She's like, what do you want? I'm like, what do you mean, what do I want?
Wow.
Like, who is this? And she goes, you wanted William Daniels. I said, yes, I did. And she soon as I said, well, I host a show about Chicago, and I said, I know you went to Northwestern. She's like, oh, I'm his wife. I was like, oh. She's like, I went to Northwestern with him.
Oh, wow.
Said, oh. And she was on TV. She was on Boy Meets World.
What?
As his wife, as the other principal. She's as the other dean. She's one of like when the college years, Mr. Feeney falls in love and gets married to another dean.
And it's his actual
real
wife.
In real life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I wonder how Mr. Feeney got that. He just pulled those strings. He's like,
he won. This is an Emmy award-winning actor. Okay, both of them, both won Emmys as a married couple in a show in the '80s called Saint Elsewhere. Crazy stories, but what I was trying to say was though, for getting ready for this thing, she says, if you want him on the show, just read his autobiography. I literally read that. I had to go to Big Bear, which is a place not too far from LA. That was like a vacation spot. I read that thing so fast.
Really?
On that little break, and I was on a Friday. I called her on Monday. I was just like, hey, by the way, I finished it. I want him on. So like, I was very well read for that. I don't do that for everybody.
No, that's real research though. I'm not reading a book for no guy.
Yeah, but it depends. It depends on what you're dealing with. Like for actors, sometimes what I'll do is I'll check clips on them if I know that they were in something, but I wasn't 100% sure. I'll watch full episodes if I can. If there's a movie in particular, I'll get pumped up for it, or just to refresh me, whatever the case is.
Yeah.
But a lot of times, like, you just kind of know who they are, especially if they're from Chicago. I've always kind of, like I said, I've kind of had been in tune. And what's funny now is that I watch TV and I can't help it. I point, that guy went to Second City. That guy went to, DePaul. Crazy stuff. So, he has the potential for doing some cool stuff. I hope I'm a good enough host. I hope I edited it enough that I cut out most of my garbage. But yeah, Dave,
I'm sure it'll be good.
I appreciate you trying to help me push it.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited to hear the conversations you have with these guys. I mean, it's nerve-wracking to release everything, but I mean, just knowing that you have conversations that you, like you said, you just wanted to have conversations with these people. People just want to hear regular conversations. At least that's what I feel like. So especially with people that we've seen. So I think it's going to be a cool thing. I guess just real briefly before we get out of here, I know this went a little longer than we had talked about, but how did you feel now looking back? I mean, you're still filming episodes and doing things, but how do you feel about like exploring? And I know you said you don't know how you are as a host or whatever yet because you haven't dropped anything, but like, how did you feel exploring this art form yourself? Like, do you like it? Do you feel like you like going this way? Like,
great question. I love it. That's the funny thing. I really love it. And I think I've gotten better as time went on. And I definitely make mistakes, and there's a lot of vibe stuff, right? Like sometimes people are down for, talking about certain topics. Sometimes they're not. But for the most part, I don't feel like I'm Barbara Walters over here, but I really enjoy when people are willing to kind of talk about things that they're usually not okay. That's the most fun for me, because to me, a lot of times they just want to talk about this one TV show, right? I want to talk about, I always ask, one of my main questions is, when you decided to move, how did your family feel about that?
That's a good question.
Like,
That's a great question.
Does anyone still call you up and ask you, do you want to come home?
Right.
Like, because I've dealt with a little bit of that. My brother, I make fun of once in a while, but I'll never forget. I produced a show, and he's like, "Dude, you made it. You can come back home anytime you want."
Yeah, right.
I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. Like, I'm out here, I'm doing it. So I ask them these things, and I get really excited when they give me real, honest answers. Yeah. They're like, sometimes people joke. One person recently joked. It's so funny. She goes, she says, like, did I make it yet? Like, in her mind, she's been on a number of television shows, and she was just like, I don't even know if that I made it. That's how hard it is in this industry. Unless you're freaking Angelina Jolie, you don't even know where the next paycheck's going to come from.
Well, I think it also goes back to what you said, I think early on in this conversation, was like, what does that even mean to make it? Like, what do you mean, am I making it? I mean, look, you came out to Hollywood and did what you acted for 30 years. And then at the end of it, she's like, did I make it? I mean, it's like, so what does that mean to you? Like,
right. I mean, the only way I see is that, can you make a little money? Did you do something of note that you're proud of?
Right.
And, hey, the truth is, if I went back to Chicago tomorrow, there's a whole gap in me that would say I did not accomplish nearly what I wanted to do.
Right.
But I think that if I really look at it, and it's one of those things you joke around the grandkids, right? Oh no, my grandfather was in entertainment. He was there for a decade. I mean, and he did stuff.
Yeah, no, I do.
Cool.
I think it's interesting because I think both of those points that you just said, like both of those viewpoints, like I can feel like I didn't do enough, and then I can feel like at the end of the day I can have my I think that those are almost like they almost go with each other, like especially in an industry like ours, because like first off, you're not gonna do the things that we're doing, at least putting yourself on these weird limbs that a lot of people don't do, if you don't have the first feeling, which is I'm not doing enough. I'm not doing enough. But at the end of the day, you also have to realize that like you still did some shit. Like it's cool.
Yeah. No, look at yourself. You put out your own music videos. You have like you and I have done 3 or 4. I mean, you could say if you become a banker tomorrow, you had a whole life where you were doing art and
right.
You've made stuff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's exactly right. I think that's how you always have to feel. I mean, that's why, with anything, you got to go in, you got to fall in love with what you're doing. You fall in love with the process and not the destination, or the ride, not the destination, because that's what it's all about. I mean, look at this quarantine. We don't know what's going on. This is the strangest time we've ever lived through. I mean,
Dave, I hate to say it, but
yeah.
I'm going to have to cut it short.
No, I don't think this is short, my friend. I think I was going to ask you the same. I was going to tell you the same thing. This isn't short. We went a half an hour longer than we talked about. So.
Well, dude, thank you so much for having me on. And again, I would just say that people can check it out, shyasper.com. And what I've been encouraging people to do, because I designed some cool merch stuff, they should go on the website and check that out if they want to support the show. Yeah,
absolutely. shyasper.com. And then at the world premiere, my episode is out today. This is going to be great, man. This is going to be great. I'm excited for you on these new ventures, and thank you for chatting with me.
Dude, of course. And best of luck, and hope everybody enjoys the episode.
Yeah, man. Absolutely, brother. I'm sure I'll talk to you tomorrow.
Shoot. All right, bro. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Be easy. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of The David Lopez Show, presented by Passion Park ENT. I appreciate you guys listening. I appreciate Marc calling in and having a nice chat with me. I had a fun time. Hopefully you guys go get to check out at the world premiere. Check out my episode. Go watch the video for Shoot. Keep streaming my music, listen to the podcast, supporting me in any way. It means the world to me. Make sure you spend some time with the people you care about as much as you can during this quarantine. If you can't see them, give them a FaceTime, give them a call, do all that stuff. And just stay your ass in the crib. I don't know. I will be back really soon. I'm sure I'll be on this screen or on this microphone talking in the next probably hour or something. I don't know, guys. I appreciate all your support all the time. One love. Stay the fuck inside.